Twists. These things are pretty risky, don't you think? On one hand, a great twist can launch itself into becoming a classic in cinematic history, and on the other hand, a poorly executed twist can ruin a billion-dollar trilogy, wasting any merit that it built up to that point. Whatever the execution, it's clear what these bad twists are trying to do, right? It's for that shock value. Good stories have shocking plot twists, so that means shock equals good, right? Not necessarily. Ideally, you'd want a twist to achieve something beyond a surface-level feeling. If anything, you'd want a twist to recontextualize the story for the better. A twist that makes a rewatch make you go, oh, that makes sense. That's why they were acting that way. Oh, that's really clever. And by doing this, hopefully this recontextualization improves the story, either by expanding on the themes of the narrative or by further fleshing out a character. However, if a plot twist is implemented poorly, this may affect the story in a negative way. It might not make sense, maybe it doesn't add anything to the story, or it might make a character worse prior to the twist. And as such, employing a plot twist just for the sake of shocking the audience or subverting expectations may do more harm than good. And in the year of 2021, 2 shows featuring plot twist endings appeared. Both feature similar episode lengths, both critically successful, and both turned into memes. But where they begin to diverge is how they handled their endings. While I personally enjoyed watching both shows, I left one show excited, eager to rewatch the series, and I left the other disappointed, as this twist ruined the mystique of its setting, whilst ruining one of the best characters in its story. So let's get into all that. Now, it's no secret that Squid Game is popular. Like, really popular. Like, Netflix's most successful series launch popular. And it's not hard to see why. It's a well-made show. The premise is familiar with a novel twist, the games are as tense as they are exciting, and the acting is well done, assuming you're watching it in Korean.
I implore you to reconsider.
And I'll be the first one to say, I adored this series. While I initially checked out the story just to see how creative the deaths will be, Squid Game blindsided me with an emotional investment, which makes its twist ending all the more frustrating and heartbreaking. And I wasn't expecting these sorts of feelings because of how silly the premise is. There's 456 players, each one crippled by debt, either by their own doing or by unfortunate circumstances. Wanting to escape their financial woes, they find themselves in a competition where the prize is 45.6 billion won. In order to claim this prize, they must compete in 6 rounds of children's games with a twist. To lose is to die, and the last one standing wins. So, pretty absurd concept, right? But it's a premise that grounds itself in reality thanks to its characters. When I found out that they were motivated by their financial instability, this shifted my expectations of the show. Instead of being just an excuse to see dumb deaths, the characters' plights made me take the narrative a bit more seriously. And while they're not incredibly complex characters, they do a good job in selling the roles they need to fill. Taking the Stranger Things approach, the show takes familiar tropes and then elevates their characters with solid performances and great chemistry. So you got characters like the Thug, the Lone Wolf, the Cinnamon Roll, and Frank Grimes. They all do a solid job, but if I had to pick a favorite, it'd have to be whenever Gi-hun and the Old Man were on screen. These two are when the show is at its best, and for me to explain my disappointment with Squid Game, I'm gonna have to talk about what I love about these guys and recap a certain moment. So let's dive a little deeper into them. Gi-hun is our main character of the show, and much like everyone else in the games, he isn't in the best position in life. He's not a great father, but he's a well-meaning guy, as he puts his life on the line to better care for his family. And this well-meaning nature extends to the other participants in the games, like not wanting to hurt anyone and extending a helping hand to others in this cutthroat environment. So we got our good guy protagonist. Cool. Now the Old Man. He is the first person that Gi-hun meets in the games. Age hasn't treated him well, as he's suffering from a tumor in his head alongside memory loss, which is severe enough for him to not remember his name. Having no family to take care of him, he explains to Gi-hun that he'd rather die during the games as opposed to dying out there, claiming it to be pathetic, and to die out there would be suffering. And at the very least, competing in the games gives him a chance at winning the prize money. But since he's at a physical and mental disadvantage, this seems unlikely. So Gi-hun tries to look after the old man, which puts himself at a disadvantage. Where the slightest edge at physical and mental aptitude can be what decides life and death, be it during the daylight games or late night brawls, why would you ever want to pair up with an old man? Besides his coincidental knowledge during tug of war, the likelihood of him being useful is practically zero. So the show takes advantage of this dilemma. In game 4 of 6, it's announced that people will be in teams of 2. While not his first choice, Gi-hun ends up choosing the old man, even though there's technically a better person to pair up with. Dude is nice to a fault, and I enjoyed seeing how the show kept Gi-hun alive with this handicap. So having Gi-hun and the old man team up for the next game seems like the duo attempting the impossible. To acknowledge this, the old man thanks Gi-hun for his kindness by calling him his ganbu. It's like a good neighborhood friend, someone that you share everything with.
이렇게 해서 뺐던가?
예, 맞아요. 이렇게.
Which leads to my favorite moment of the series. Turns out, this wasn't a team game, rather, being asked to pair up meant going against each other, this time in a game of marbles of their choosing. Both get 10 marbles each, and whoever gets 20 out of the two wins. Most participants decide on a guessing game. Guess if there's an odd or even amount of marbles in your opponent's hand. Guess right, you win the marbles they've hidden. Guess wrong, do the reverse. Simple, right? But there's a problem.
Oh no, his dementia's playing up. Uncle Barry's got dementia.
This causes Gi-hun to freak out because of Clause 2 of the games. A player who refuses to play will be eliminated. And unfortunately, Gi-hun's kindness has led him to playing a game of marbles with an old guy who's too distracted to play, as he's wandering around the area impacted by nostalgia. And so, 2/3 into the series, this is where Gi-hun's character starts to crack, as his polite worries escalate to him yelling and having to get physical with the old man. But then they eventually start playing, and it turns out the old man is damn good at this game, which seems to lead up to Gi-hun's loss. However, this happens.
잠깐만요. 홀.
뭐라고 했지?
예?
방금 뭐라고 했냐고?
저기요.
This is Gi-hun's first act of deception in the series, and this deception continues until he has 19 of the marbles. And before he can seal a win, guess what happens?
His dementia's playing up.
So the clock's ticking. Clause 2 looms over, and as Gi-hun's frustration and desperation is reaching a new high, a moment of clarity strikes the old man, asking to play one more game, asking Gi-hun if he is willing to bet it all for a single marble, resulting in this moment.
그 구슬 하나랑 이걸 다 걸으라고요? 그런 억지가 어디 있어요? 말이 안 되는 거잖아.
그럼 자네가 날 속이고 내 굿을 가져간 건 말이 되고? 가져. 자네 거야. 우리는 깐부잖아. 기억 안 나? 우리 손가락 걸고 깐부 맺은 거. 깐부끼리는 네 거 내 거가 없는 거야. 그동안 고마웠네. 자네 덕분에 잘 있다가 가네.
This is honestly one of my favorite scenes to come out this year. The unlikely duo who makes it far into the games, featuring an old man who finds a friend in this bleak mess of a place. A friend who looks after him despite its disadvantages, and as his friend slips into immorality, the old man uses his last moments on Earth to remind him of the kindness he showed him in this cruel environment. Simple, effective, and I love it. So, how the hell did they screw this up? How does one do it? How does a story ruin a simple yet effective moment like this? Easy, you overcomplicate your character. And how do they do this? It turns out that the old man is one of the founders of the games, and after losing the game to Gi-hun, he didn't die. Look, I'm gonna be real. A red flag did appear in my head because the old man died off-screen, unlike other characters in other scenes, but I thought they were being tasteful with his death. Because I was thinking, there is no way this guy actually survived. That'd be too stupid. But it did happen, and now I'm disappointed. And let me explain why. So, after Gi-hun wins the games, a year goes by with him not spending any of the prize money. The entire experience and his inability to save his mother with the money has left him traumatized. Whilst in this state, he receives a calling card from his Ganbu. They meet up, and questions and answers get tossed around. Was everything he said during the games a lie? No, the tumor, the name, the reminiscing, all of that was true. Why did they start the games in the first place? He and some rich pals got bored of life. Why'd he join the games? He wanted to relive his childhood memories one last time, which was achieved through Gi-hun. Okay, cool, we got some answers to our questions. But why did the old man have to be the one to tell Gi-hun? And why did he have to be one of the people who helped create the games? This feels bizarre, and this explanation seems to muddy the social commentary that the games were trying to create. Let's take a look at the frontman's speech that he gives to a cheater, giving us a glimpse into the purpose of this facility.
너희들이 시체에서 장기를 떼어내서 팔든 장기를 통째로 씹어먹든 난 관심이 없어. 하지만 너희들은 이곳에서 가장 중요한 걸 망쳐놨어. 평등이야. 이 게임 안에선 모두가 평등해. 참가자들 모두가 같은 조건에서 공평하게 경쟁하지. 바깥 세상에서 불평등과 차별에 시달려온 사람들에게 평등하게 싸워서 이길 수 있는 마지막 기회를 주는 거야.
Now, I don't know about you, but what I'm getting from this speech is that whoever created this place wanted to make a statement. Like they saw injustice in the world and wanted to give those deserving a second chance. But the old guy's explanation overshadows the front man's speech. Turns out the place was really created for rich, bored people. And I don't find this interesting. Because thematically, the social commentary loses focus, and the old man participating in the games doesn't adhere to the principle this place stood for. Him being a founder of the place means he has overseen over 30 years worth of strategies. Knowledge is power, and this power leads to somebody else's death. But you might be saying, but oh, he's got dementia though, his knowledge is probably unreliable. Alright, but I can't in good faith believe him because his dementia seems to pop in and out whenever it's convenient to the story. So I'm forced to believe that he has some form of knowledge at his disposal. And it would be one thing if he never knew that tug-of-war would appear and he coincidentally had the knowledge that gave him that advantage. But it's another thing to know that tug-of-war would appear and you had a foolproof way to defeat other ignorant opponents. And his lack of ignorance doesn't make this equal. And when knowing what the next game is deemed enough of an advantage to punish a contestant, then the old man's presence screams hypocrisy. What a great way to go, he says. But, you know, that's pretty easy for him to say if he was never gonna get shot. There were never even any stakes for him to begin with. Is the show trying to do some Animal Farm message? Is it doing a some are more equal than others thing? Charitably? I guess, but its execution is weak and I just don't care about this guy anymore. I don't care what he has to say about the rich and the poor, nor do I care about how he had a hand in creating the games. I cared when he was an old man down on his luck, someone who had nothing to lose and ended up getting a positive experience out of this grim situation because of Gi-hun's kindness. But instead, he's an elitist with disposable money, luring in people into playing lethal games for the sake of entertainment. And the main reason why he joined the games was because he was bored. Bravo, Squid Game. This really says a lot about society. Am I right?
I'm the Joker, baby!
Is there something I'm missing here? Did something get lost in translation? Because all I'm left wondering is what's there to benefit from this twist? Because no matter how I look at it, all it did was make the show worse. The old man's advantage makes his wins less impressive, it no longer makes his sacrifice a kind-hearted selfless act, and most importantly, his explanation of the origin of the games ruins the mystique of the show. I would have been fine if we were kept in the dark about the whole operation, but this explanation makes the entire place thin in characterization. Especially when the VIPs, the people who helped create this place, are awfully acted and written. Really? These guys are funding the games? These cartoon characters whose dialogue is on the same caliber as an awful Let's Play?
What's that thing? Looks like a bridge of some sort.
Down to 2 positions. First and last.
Going first in a life or death contest. Very scary.
Who are you bidding on this time?
96.
What's your reason?
Well, if I can't do 69, I'll try 96.
Good luck with that. How do you know this guy?
And look, I recognize the person who's writing and directing these scenes is Korean, so they're working with a language that they're not as intimate with. I get it. But you have to admit, these guys are obviously the worst part of the show. These caricatures of immoral rich people harm the show's world building because they add nothing to the show besides going, look, these rich people are assholes. And having seen Succession, which is a show all about rich immoral assholes, it's not like this is impossible to pull off. Just look at how absurdly cocky Roman can get, and how it's contrasted to his more sincere moments in the show.
I just want you to know, I think I'm going to reveal to him that you sexually abused me as a child.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you just would not stop.
You are one sick puppy.
You're the one who kept trying to fuck me.
Why would you say that? Stop.
I'm Shiv. I'm an adult and I'm important because I work for a man with glasses. Is he a Jew, by the way?
Oh, come on.
What? It's just a simple, friendly, slightly racist question. Congratulations on 50 years at the top of the biz. I love you, Dad.
Nice. You wanna try one more?
Why?
No, that was perfect. Just didn't know if you wanted one more.
If it was perfect, why would I want one more?
I saw your little interview.
Oh, right, yeah, we don't have to dissect that.
I want my daddy. I never figured you for a fucker.
Oh, wow.
I'm kidding.
I know. Yeah. I wasn't trying to fuck the deal. I was trying to land the deal. I was trying to help. I thought it would be a nice surprise.
Roman, you're a moron.
Can I suggest a hug?
You serious?
What is it? What?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Why?
Just, come on, bring it in.
You know you want
All right, I'm going butt first. Here it comes.
Here we are.
Succession understands how to write the elite in a despicable yet believable way. As exaggerated as they can be, these characters have to feel real so the stakes feel real. Whereas the elites of Squid Game paints this shallow caricature that reads like a hashtag platitude. They are obviously bad guys without depth, which in turn makes the entire establishment feel unbelievable, so whatever social commentary it was trying to say falls flat on its face. The world doesn't feel like it's grounded in reality anymore, and it may as well be operated by Robbie Rotten, and if he actually did, it would at least be funny. These guys just suck.
Creamy.
These unrefined decisions feel so jarring because up until this point, the series hasn't shown any signs of severe incompetence. But these dips in quality become more apparent as the show reaches its conclusion, attempting to juggle a bunch of ideas only to drop the ball on every single idea. These decisions feel unnecessary, and it speaks to the show's desire to be needlessly complex, when its simplicity is when Squid Game is at its best. And as stated before, recontextualization is a powerful storytelling tool with a high risk that can yield a high reward. But it only yields that reward if it's done thoughtfully, and Squid Game's twist feels tacked on. In an attempt to expose the wizard behind the curtain, the show ends up committing a twist just for the sake of it. It ruins its best character while ruining the mystery surrounding the games. It's a bad twist, and I can't see it as anything else. Which leads me to another series that came out this year, one that manages to pull off a final episode plot twist excellently by recontextualizing the story for the better. You've already read the title of this video, so let's get into it. It's time to talk about... Now, there's a lot of strengths to this show, be it the creativity of its set pieces, from the high-stakes scenarios to its cast of well-rounded characters, for the most part. But easily, the best part of the show for me is Omni-man and his dynamic with his son, so let's refresh our memory on what the show's about. It follows a kid who wants to be a superhero just like his dad, who's essentially the Superman of this world. As Mark transitions into his new life with the help of his father Nolan, he must learn how to balance normal life with being a superhero. And after a standard Saturday morning cartoon plot during the first episode, it ends with Nolan killing the Guardians in secret, the Justice League type team of this universe. When this happened, I was hooked. Well, technically, I stopped midway through the episode because I got bored, but when I gave it a second chance, I was hooked, because a barrage of questions started flooding my head. Like, is he really a good guy? There's probably a really good reason for this, right? He seems to care about his son. Does he even care about his son? I thought Nolan said that Viltrumites come to planets to help them out. Why is he betraying Viltrum's goals? What's he exactly up to? Pair these questions with the tension that arose anytime the strongest man in the world appeared on screen, I absolutely adored this feeling. So while Mark's side of the story has him figuring out how to be a superhero, which...
Oh shit! Oh my god!
is a lot harder than he thought it'd be, Nolan's story is about figuring out why he did what he did. And as the show progresses, the tension rises as Nolan's secret starts unfolding. Everyone who's close to him starts cluing in on his murder of the Guardians, except for his son. He's too preoccupied to notice. But while our cast of characters figure out what Nolan has done, the why remains a mystery. Regardless of the motivation, attempts to stop or capture Nolan are ushered, and once that move is made, Nolan's Superman facade is gone. He's no longer pretending by the last couple of episodes, and his son has yet to see this side of him, until he witnesses his father kill a recently revived immortal, a member of the Guardians and a supposed friend of Nolan. As Mark freaks out by the mere sight of this, Nolan attempts to calm down his son by explaining why he did what he did. This is where he shares the truth of his origin. Essentially, Nolan was sent by the Viltrum Empire to conquer Earth, because Viltrumites are a warrior race of supremacists with the goal to conquer every planet they visit. And given this explanation, I can totally understand why Nolan is doing what he's doing. I don't agree with him because I'm a fragile human being, but it makes sense as a Viltrumite. Him killing the Guardians, lying about his past, to seeing his wife as a pet, the motivation behind his feelings and actions through this explanation is a great payoff for the setup in episode 1. And this recontextualization, in my opinion, makes Nolan a better character. Him being surprised by Mark's powers and then wanting to train him is no longer seen as, oh, Nolan is finally accepting his child for who he is, which is a trope used so often that you can probably name a few yourself, is actually subverted with, oh, you are grooming your son to become a Viltrumite supremacist. And this shift in perspective makes you realize that was the plan all along, allowing you to rewatch the series with this new context. From Nolan training his son to thinking he's wasting time on small-scale crime, to him saying Earth is not yours to conquer as he commits alien genocide, it all stems from his goal from the Viltrum Empire, giving you meaning to scenes like this.
Whoa, slow down. What's up? Cecil asked me to save Mount Rushmore, but I left Amber waiting in the room, so I gotta...
You left a girl in your room while you flew off to deal with a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I mean, not good for her, but good. That's the tricky part of the job. Balancing what you want to do with what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you're not just a superhero, Mark. You're a Viltrumite. We have responsibilities that normal humans don't.
Right. Yeah, thanks.
This humorous scene now has an unsettling undertone to it, and that adds a layer of characterization that makes me find Nolan a lot more interesting. His cruelty and apathy for humanity is in direct contrast with the love of his son. Because if he didn't truly love Mark, Mark would be dead by now. Because let's be real, Mark's fight with Nolan in the final episode shows there's no competition. It's brutal, painful, and Omni-man's frustration is painted with the blood of the people Mark is trying to protect, a virtue that was ironically inspired by Nolan's facade. A facade that's the polar opposite of his real goal. And this one-sided fight is a manifestation of the frustration created from his deception. How dare his son refuse the lifestyle of a Viltrumite, the race that has blessed him with the powers he has now? How dare his son attach himself to a world that may as well be a footnote in their lives? And how dare his son disobey the orders of the father that he has looked up to and loved throughout his entire life? Which then leads up to this moment between the two.
Why did you make me do this? You're fighting so you can watch everyone around you die. Think, Mark. You'll outlast every fragile, insignificant being on this planet. You'll live to see this world crumble to dust and blow away. Everyone and everything you know will be gone. What will you have after 500 years?
You, Dad. I still have you. Dad?
This hesitation is a moment of Nolan's empathy. This is the moment when he knew his powers, the one thing that solved every issue he had, couldn't solve his son's hatred for his father. And if he can't convince Mark, then he has to kill him to conquer Earth. But he can't. He can't get rid of his son because Nolan isn't the Viltrumite he thought he was. A race that's built upon killing the weak, even if it's their own. Because he realized his time on Earth ended up affecting him. He's grown soft, so instead of doing what he's supposed to do, he leaves Earth, frustrated and in tears. That's how you do a plot twist. This reveal adds to Nolan's character. It recontextualizes scenes for the better, while affecting the story's plot in a meaningful way. Whereas in the case of Squid Game, I can't say it does that. All that twist amounted to was the show going surprise and then spitting in Gi-hun's face. While sure, we now know why the games exist, but in getting this explanation, we're sacrificing a simple yet effective moment. But apparently, the show isn't satisfied with that simplicity. Complex doesn't mean good, nor does simple mean bad, and Squid Game misunderstood this. It overcomplicates a great character for the worst, whereas Invincible makes an already great character a whole lot better. This twist has merit beyond shock value, and I wish the same can be said about Squid Game. I wanted to love this show, but after episode 9, that's pretty tough to do.
You know, I like plot twists that make the story less interesting.
As of this video, both Squid Game and Invincible only have one season out so far. And unlike a standalone movie, a twist at the end of a show's season impacts future seasons. And I'm particularly worried about Squid Game's story, since I feel like this mistake of a twist is unsalvageable. While show creator Dun Hye feels like season 1's ending is good enough closure for the whole story, he mentioned that a second season isn't out of the question. So whatever happens, I hope it doesn't go down the same path as Stranger Things, where later seasons feel like an unprepared afterthought. But despite Squid Game's botched ending, I'm curious enough to see how they'll get out of this hole they've dug themselves, and if there's more games to watch, then I suppose I can watch the series with dumb fun in mind, like I originally intended. But I don't think that dumb fun can ever replace those great sincere moments that the show had to offer. But what can you do, you know? As for Invincible, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just wondering what will replace the Mark and Nolan relationship, since they were my favorite parts of the show. And Omni-man's absence is gonna make Season 2 quite different from the first, so whatever the showrunners do, let's hope it reaches the same highs as Season 1's climax. The talent is there, so fingers crossed, you know? And since they're adapting the material from a completed comic series, we will at least have a definitive ending to the show.
Best season ever!
Not to say that adaptations with definitive endings are completely foolproof, since a show that had a stellar first season concluded this year with one of the worst endings I've ever seen, so greatness is never guaranteed. But at least Invincible has a solid foundation to work from, and whatever issues I do have with it don't completely ruin the show. So let's hope Invincible continues their streak of great writing. Anyway, best of luck to both shows, and may their subsequent seasons reach the same highs as their first. And on that note, check out Succession. It's pretty good.
Back off! You back off! This is executive level business! Okay? No! Stop, Tom! We're friends! You're one of my best friends!
Oh, by the way, I'd like to say thanks to my patrons. Wow! These guys are neat because they help me fund my videos, making me less reliant on YouTube's monetary system, which is a fickle thing. So I'd like to give them a personal thank you for defending me from YouTube's uncertainty. And I want to thank them not just through gratitude, but through rewards as well. It's the least I can do for these guys who support my artistic endeavors. So if you want to join the salad bar for whatever reason you have, all you need is $1. A single dollar will give you all this stuff, whilst higher tiers will give you even more. So if you wish to defend me from YouTube, support my creative endeavors, and get a gift from me in the process, then feel free to join my Patreon. But only do so if you have enough money to spare, since merely watching this far is already a huge help for me. So thank you for that. And that's it. See you around for the next video.